Welcome to the podcast channel. We have Trisha Harris here with us today. How are you, Trisha?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being here. So what we'll be covering today is we're going to talk about counselling and the benefits of counselling. We have some examples to share, as well as really talk about why self-care is important in our personal and professional life. So I'll start with simply saying that how I know Trisha. So Trisha, thank you for being here today. I'm so excited.
I'm very excited to be here. So thank you.
So how do I know Trisha? So first of all, Trisha is a career counsellor as well as a counsellor. I met Trisha working at Western Sydney University, and certainly I think I've known her for probably about in total about 6.5 years. So it's been a long time, and I've planted the seed anywhere between 6 to 12 months ago and said, you know what, we are going to be on a podcast together, and here we are today. So isn't that cool?
Yes. You've slowly planted the seed, and here we are.
Here we are. So when I worked at the Western Sydney University as a careers, we were in a position called careers education consultant, also known as careers counsellor at the university. So it was such a joy working with Trisha, and she certainly has really helped many students we both helped many students in that role at the university, helping students with their career development and job search strategies, etc. But then more recently, she actually has established her own business, and just referring to the details of her business, it's called Riverview Counselling. She's established it about 2 years ago, and so she'll be talking more about her business in a moment, so you will know more about that. And so let's get started to get to know Trisha and how she runs her business, and so we can know more about counselling and the benefits of counselling. Shall we start? Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right. So the first question, Trisha, is simply, if you can just tell us a bit more about, your career and your business journey.
So originally, after I did my Bachelor of Social Science, I actually got to working in the community and got to managing disability employment services, and loved the kind of mental health aspect of that. But with that employment experience, I got the position at Western Sydney Uni, and then studied to be a career counsellor there, and was there for about 13 and a half years. And the whole while doing that, you're helping other people establish their careers and follow their passions. And something that I always wanted to do was get back into that mental health role. So I studied counselling, a couple of different qualifications in counselling, the most recent one being the postgrad dip in counselling from Western Sydney as well. And yeah, 2.5 years ago, I just decided to take the plunge and finally follow my career passion, and open up my own private practice.
I really admire that you took the courage to establish your own business, and it really takes a lot of courage, risk taking to do what you do.
Yeah, you would know the same thing. It is, and it's a lot to learn, especially as a counselling or career counselling background. You don't know much about business and owning your own business and what that involves. So it's been a huge learning process for me.
How about your business, the counselling services? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so typically, originally I was working with mums who had special needs children, and as things went along, I started working with men, and I started working with couples, and I love all of it. Like it's something that I just enjoy doing so much, and I'm kind of really excited now that I'm not necessarily specific to one kind of area, that I can help a variety of people with a variety of issues, which I love it.
I noticed on your website that you offer counselling sessions face-to-face as well as on Zoom. Is that right?
Yep. Yes. Yeah. So I've got an office in Glenbrook where I see people face-to-face. Some people prefer phone, but yes, people still do book in Zoom, particularly if they can't get counselling in their own local area. I work a lot with employment assistance plans, so certain companies who will hire counsellors to do counselling for their employees, and a lot of those will see me through Zoom as well.
Oh, great. And one of the things I noticed about your website is you can just book straight away. There is no waiting period. So that's awesome that, when people do want to reach out to a counsellor, it's they're ready. So they really want to get in ASAP. So that's what I really liked about what I saw on your website.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just so much better than some of the waiting lists, which can be ridiculous. So typically counsellors are a lot more accessible than, say, psychologists, for example, because of that waiting list due to Medicare and those kind of systems.
Yes. The question I have here is about self-care. I find out working with professionals that, so many professionals find that it's hard to focus on their own self-care and their own well-being. They kind of put themselves last, like the leaders and managers take care of everyone else and put themselves last. But why do you think self-care is important?
I think as individuals, or whether you're in a relationship, it's really important to have your own cup filled so you can give to other people. So whether that's your family or your partner, or just to yourself, especially if you've got a position which is quite stressful, I think it's really important to be able to kind of recharge your batteries in that way. So I strongly suggest that to people that I see. Even for couples, for them to individually be able to recharge. It might be for 5 or 10 minutes. It might be a walk. It might be scrolling on their phone. It could be a bath. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's something that you really enjoy and it gets you to stop thinking. So the idea of that is it gets your breathing back to normal, and then it brings your anxiety and your stress levels down a little bit, which is really helpful to then come back into the relationship or into the family and keep, on with those roles.
I liked what you said about recharging your batteries, right? We recharge our mobile phones every day, don't we?
So true.
It's like every few hours, I'm out of battery. All right, recharge. We recharge our batteries all the time, phones all the time. But when recharging ourselves, like, oh, that's okay. Don't worry about yourself. And then we work ourselves to the ground, especially as you mentioned before, you initially started working with working moms and they're just running themselves to the ground and they go, well, I need time more for myself. So we really need to recharge our batteries.
Absolutely. And like you said, in terms of, busy work people, mums are the same. They tend to put themselves last, so they're not usually looking after themselves.
Now I'm really excited to know more about how you work with men and also how you work with women. So if you can elaborate on how you work with men first, and I guess more so around what issues do you see them facing and what outcomes you've achieved, Trisha?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of the men that I work with come to see me over things like emotions. So either struggling to connect with their emotions or regulate their emotions. So a lot of anger, anxiety, stress, and they generally just seem really unhappy, usually leading pretty unhealthy lives, issues with sleep, issues around work. And a lot of the men that I've worked with, I've seen them kind of transform and they just look healthier, like they just look happier. Some of them have changed to better paying jobs or jobs that are more suited to their passions. So they're happier in what they do. They're sleeping better, they're eating better, all of those sorts of things. And they're just putting in their dedication, honestly. They're the ones putting in that work to make those changes and to kind of transform their lives. But it's pretty amazing to kind of sit back and watch it happen.
Yes, I was so surprised when you mentioned a few months ago that you do work with a lot of men, and that really the transformation is unreal. Especially when you said that they are, they're walking differently, speaking differently, showing up differently, and so being able to really work on whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, whatever they're going through, and help them transform. Essentially, be comfortable with their suffering and helping them out of that period of time. So that. And you've also worked with them for over a long period of time, right?
Yeah, a lot of the clients that I work with, I've worked with for a couple of years or more, and I'm so passionate about ongoing mental health care. You go to the dentist, you go to the doctor, we look after other things on a regular basis, but we don't do that with our mental health. So just because you're feeling a bit better 1 month or, however often you decide to see your therapist, doesn't mean that you just stop, because then you kind of run the risk of getting burnt out again, and then coming when things have, like, you've lost control. So the idea is to just keep on top of it so you feel your best, you know.
Yes.
So there are people that I've seen for a really long time. So in terms of, you were mentioning mums, the women that I work with are mums generally with special needs children like myself. So I really relate, and they really need an outlet because they don't get that break. You know, some of them find it difficult to go away or have nights out or to leave the house. You know, that it's a really stressful life that they lead. Not that they would change it, but they need someone to be able to offload all of that stress and to come up with strategies around the children's behaviour, and again about filling their cups. And it might be communications with their partner and as a family, and strategies that might help with that, to be able to make them get up the next day and do the same thing again and again and again, but with having, you know, more joy and fun and light in their lives, rather than it kind of all being just too hard on a regular basis. So they're people that I see regularly as well.
And when you say regularly, are they seeing you once a week or once a fortnight?
It depends. Some people I see weekly to fortnightly at the start, and then some might change to monthly when they're feeling a bit better, or some people have continued to see me fortnightly since when I very first started seeing them. So I'm just kind of glad that they can see it making such a difference that they want to keep coming back and doing that for themselves as well.
Congratulations, Trisha. I'm so
Thank
happy for
you.
you. Yeah, they take them once a month. That's awesome. That's awesome. And what results have you have seen when you're working with working moms, and
Yeah,
especially when they have kids who have special needs? Yeah.
I think it's more instant. It's just that having that outlet of someone to talk to. So I've got somebody that said to me once, they just feel like it's coming to see an old friend. They don't feel anxious about coming to the appointment. And I've seen different therapists in the past, and I totally get that anxiety of, and then you think that's not the right person. You know, if that's how I'm feeling going to see this person, I'm so stressed about seeing them, then it's probably not the right fit. And with like anything else, you need to find the right therapist and have the right relationship, you know, and that might not be the same for each person. But some people say to me that they just feel like they're visiting a friend, and it's just light and easy, and you just feel the relief from them finally getting to talk, because maybe they're working full time with special needs children or really busy lives, and they don't have any time for themselves. So they just appreciate that hour that you've got someone listening and someone that can help if that's what they're wanting. And so I've definitely noticed the difference in, they'll come back and say, look, I tried that strategy with my kids and that really worked, and that's helped their relationship with their child. Or again, in terms of work, I help a lot of people change into different careers if that's what they want, if they're really unhappy with their job and that's part of their stress. That's where I suppose being a career counsellor comes in handy in those moments, to be able to then help find something that's going to fulfill them, that they're really going to enjoy if they're unhappy where they are. So I you know, work on that as well.
I think that's awesome, being able to provide counselling, and then when they do need career counselling, you're able to add that value with your clients and get them to transition. And you mentioned to me earlier today that you have helped a few people transition into new careers during the time you counseled with them. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's great, because a lot of people don't kind of know that meeting you, and I'm like, I can help you with that, you know, so what, you know, let's work on it.
That's so good to know. And I think also looking at your website, that you share your personal story, and you have 4 kids, and you have twins, and certainly understand one of your kids that has special needs. So being able to share your personal story with other clients who are having working mums that have similar situations, and that enables them to feel that, you know, having empathy for your clients, and they feel that they can be vulnerable with you, and then they can share their story with you. They feel that you can relate to them. So I think that's something that's awesome about your background as well, Trisha.
I just get it. I 100% get it.
You get it, and that's half the battle, I think, with our clients, is like if you're able to relate and have empathy for our clients, whether it's coaching, career coaching, whether it's counselling, and that is where the benefit is that when someone can relate to you, and you feel less alone, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Now I have you have sent me through some resources, but I really wanted to know from your perspective, what resources do you guide your clients to using, whether it's for counselling or career counselling?
So in terms of resources, I do have like a journal that I've been trialing. I've been trying to get some of my clients to give me some feedback on that to see, you know, what changes I can make to make it a little bit better. But it's just to kind of help with getting your thoughts out, and also really looking at what the day was like. So for somebody that's in quite a depressed state, everything seems terrible, you know, and sometimes being able to rate that each day, they can look back and go, actually, that wasn't too bad, or this good thing happened. And, you know, so having some little goals as well. And when I say little, I mean realistic. So a lot of mums, for example, would have this massive to-do list of things that they're never going to achieve in one day because it's not realistic. You know, so having small achievable goals, I find, is very important, and writing down what they have done. So usually their list doesn't say, you know, all the things that they've done. It's just all the stuff that they haven't done, you know, but they're usually doing so much. So the journal definitely helps for that. I do use also, I've got like a busy mums checklist. So for people that go, well, I don't know how to recharge my batteries, or I don't know how to just kind of have 5 or 10 minutes to myself, and, you know, it's just lists some different ideas there, you know, for them to be able to spend some time by themselves and come back to their family all refreshed. I also suggest Insight Timer, which I used today. I did your Reset Your Mind one today, Leonie. It was really lovely. It's so nice. But I suggest that to people all the time that are struggling with stress or sleep or anxiety. I suggest the Insight Timer as well. But in terms of working with couples, it's not, I do sometimes use the love languages quiz, which is really interesting to see the results of that. But it's more about, I guess, strategies with them. So I usually suggest that 5 to 10 minutes a day of communication together, which typically doesn't happen. You're usually kind of flying in and out. And then the other thing I suggest is a date night per week, which usually doesn't happen either, because people typically don't have time, and that's where you've lost that connection. So it's starting to kind of date again, you know, and kind of get back to basics and to form that connection, so you're building that partnership. So there's some strategies I use for couples as well.
Oh, thank you for sharing. I love the love languages quiz. Is that
It's
something
fun.
that I can find online? Is it free?
Yeah, I can send it through as well. But yeah, I think it's I just Googled it, to be honest. It's free. But it's just really interesting to see. Sometimes you really speaking completely different languages, and it's interesting to see the results.
Yes, I'll definitely check that one out. That's awesome. And it's so simple, practical things. Love
Yeah.
the I've got the daily wellness log in front of me. It's you know, it's got here, today I'm grateful for, things I can do to make today great. It's got a mood tracker. It's really, you know, daily affirmations. I really like the daily wellness log. And then I've also got the copy of the busy mums checklist. So yeah, some things to do to recharge yourself. So yeah, absolutely love these resources. Certainly where can they find these resources, Trisha?
They're up on my Instagram, and I've got a Facebook page as well.
Okay.
And on my website, so riverviewcounselling.au. And yeah, I'll pop them down in the blog section as well. So thank you for thinking of that. I'll put them on there so that people can access them for sure.
Yes, and I really appreciate the feedback on Insight Timer. I think when I first told you I published my guided meditation, you're one of the first few people who said, I am going to share it with all of my clients. I'm like, feel free to. And
I was already using Insight Timer anyway. So when you said you'd done it on there, I was like, that's so cool.
Yes, and Trisha, good news is that I've got one of the guided meditations. I think it's the one that you listened to today. It's been played 100 times.
Wow, that's awesome! Congratulations.
Thank you, and I'll put that in the link in our the video and on Spotify as well. But the last question I have for you is just simply, what's one thing that you do every day that makes you happy or brings joy into your life?
It sounds really sappy, but I love morning and bedtime cuddles with my kids. Like, that's something that I enjoy so much, and I know that they really do But in terms of being an individual, in terms of being a mum, I'm probably like most mums or working women. I just really enjoy scrolling on my phone. But sometimes it's just to take your mind off everything else and just to kind of be human for a minute instead of always having to do things for other people or around the house or whatnot. It's just kind of your time. So it's usually when you're in bed, and I enjoy that a lot as well.
So 5-10 minutes or so, just time for you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Time
Or
for
a bath. Love having a bath
Mm.
by myself,
Yes.
with no distractions. That's what you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
To just kind of recharge by yourself.
Yes, and I think it's going back to that point of self-care. It's about refilling your cup, making sure that you take care of yourself, recharging your own batteries. So then you have the time and the energy, to take care of everyone else,
Yes.
whether it's your family, whether it's work, etc. But taking time out for you first, so you can have more time for others.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to our chat
Just
today?
thank you so much for having me, and thank you for suggesting it. Like it's been really fun.
And
It is like
you.
catching up with an old friend.
It does feel that way. And you are an old friend. So
I know.
I just wanted to acknowledge all the listeners. Thank you. If you stayed till this moment, I really appreciate you following this podcast channel. And I am intending to have a few more guests on the show in the next few months. So stay tuned. Thank you for following this channel, and look forward to our next podcast together. Thank you. Thank you, Trisha.
Thanks for having me.